All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a really powerful idea in education, but one that almost everybody gets wrong: scaffolding. We're about to find out how language isn't just about talking to each other, it's the very thing that builds our thoughts. You know that weird thing that happens? You learn a new word, and then all of a sudden you start hearing it everywhere? It's bizarre, right? But here's the thing: the world didn't change. You did. That new word literally gave you a new lens to see the world through. And that's the core idea we're really going to dig into today. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with a research problem, touch on learning cycles, uncover an unseen language barrier, and then get to the main event: the real meaning of scaffolding. All right, first up, the research problem, or as I like to call it, the mystery of the blank sketchbook. So here's the big question. Why is it that students who are totally great at analyzing, say, a poem in English class, just completely freeze up when you ask them to analyze a photograph or a painting? What's going on there? And in the classroom, you see this all the time, right? Their research is just cutting and pasting images. Their notes are basically just plagiarized, to tick a box for the assignment. And if you ask them what's wrong, they just say, "I don't know how to do it." It all points to one thing: they're missing a visual vocabulary. They literally don't have the words to describe what they're seeing. So you might think, okay, maybe they just need more practice? Well, let's look into that. We're moving on to section 2, learning in a cycle. Okay, so there's this theorist, David Kolb, who had a big idea. He said learning isn't just about pouring information into our brains. Nope. He said we learn by actually doing things and transforming our experiences. We show up with ideas already in our head, and learning is all about testing those ideas out in the real world. And he laid it out in this 4-stage cycle. It's pretty intuitive. Imagine a student trying to learn studio lighting. Step 1, concrete experience. They take a picture, and it's just black. Whoops. Step 2, observation and reflection. They stop and think, what just happened? Step 3, they come up with a theory. Maybe my aperture setting was totally off. And then, step 4, they test that theory by trying again with a new setting. And you just keep going through that loop until you get it right. Now, this cycle is awesome for learning hands-on skills, for sure. But it doesn't really solve our blank sketchbook mystery, does it? The problem isn't just that they haven't practiced enough. There's something else, something deeper that's missing. And that brings us right to part 3, the unseen language barrier. It's time to look past just skills and experience to find out what's really going on. So there's this sociologist, Pierre Bourdieu, and he came up with this idea called cultural capital. Basically, he said that some kids just show up to school already knowing the rules of the game. They have the right kind of language, the right background, the stuff the education system is built to reward. It's like they have a head start that nobody can see. Now, that's a really interesting way to look at it, but it doesn't exactly tell a teacher what to do on a Monday morning. So let's shift our focus. What if the problem isn't just about social class or experience? What if it's fundamentally about language, about the words you have and the words you don't? And that, right there, leads us to our final section, and honestly, the most important part of this whole thing. We're finally going to crack this case by understanding the real meaning of scaffolding and how language literally shapes our thoughts. The hero of our story is a psychologist named Lev Vygotsky, and he had this absolutely mind-blowing idea. He said that language isn't just something we use to label the world we see. No. He argued it's the tool that shapes how we see the world in the first place. It's not a description, it's a construction. Okay, stick with me here. Vygotsky said that every big idea, every complex thought, starts out between people. It happens in conversation, when someone explains something, or when you work on a problem together. It's only after that social interaction that you can absorb it, internalize it, and make it your own personal thought. And what's the bridge that gets it from out there to in here? It's language. And Vygotsky gave this magic learning space a name: the zone of proximal development, or ZPD for short. Just think of it as the gap between what I can do by myself and what I could do with a little help. It's that sweet spot where real learning happens. And that is the whole game of teaching, isn't it? A great teacher lives in that zone. Their job is to give you just the right help to cross that gap, to turn your potential into, I can actually do this now. But the million-dollar question is, how? How do they do it? Okay, here it is, the big reveal. When you hear the word scaffolding, you probably think it means making things simpler, right? Dumbing it down, breaking it into baby steps. Well, Vygotsky's idea was the complete total opposite. And if you remember one thing, remember this. True scaffolding isn't about making language simpler. It's about giving the learner a more complex, more structured language to work with. Let's go back to our student with the blank sketchbook. The answer isn't to say, describe the pretty picture. No, the answer is to give them the real professional words. Talk about the composition, analyze the texture. What about the contrast, the chiaroscuro? You're not simplifying, you're arming them with more powerful tools for thinking. Vygotsky's big insight was that speech is kind of like a mirror for your mind. If you only have a few simple words, the reflection is blurry and basic. But the more words you have, the more precise your language, the clearer and more detailed that reflection becomes. A bigger vocabulary means bigger, better thoughts. It's that simple. So get this, the tools a teacher uses on the outside become the tools the student uses on the inside. The specific formal words a teacher uses to explain something, that literally becomes the student's inner voice when they try to solve a problem on their own. We're basically programming their internal monologue. So by giving them this richer vocabulary, this better language framework, we're not making them dependent on us. It's the opposite. We're building the internal structure they need to eventually go off and learn and think and analyze all by themselves. So let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways? First, language isn't just for talking, it's for thinking. Second, that sweet spot for teaching is the zone of proximal development. And third, and most importantly, real scaffolding isn't about dumbing things down. It's about leveling up by providing a more complex, powerful language to build understanding. And that brings us to the final question, one for you to think about. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just trying to learn something new yourself, what's the language you need? What are the new words that could unlock a completely different way of seeing your world? Thanks for tuning in.